Hello again, everybody. Chris Godfrey here. I'm all set to count down this week's 40 most played country records in the USA, compiled by MediaBase 24/7 for the week ending August 2nd, 2025. Before I get started counting down this week's biggest hits, let's take a look back at last week's top three. At number 3 was Fix What You Didn't Break by Nate Smith. Number 2 was Just in Case by Morgan Wallen. And the number 1 song last week was Single Again, the first number 1 hit for Josh Ross. Now, can Josh stay at number 1 again for a second week? Let's find out starting right now. Here's the first of the 40 biggest hits, the first of 2 debuts this week. It's brand new from Miranda Lambert. Her last time out, she reached number 35 recently with Run. Her 34th top 40 hit is a duet with Chris Stapleton called A Song to Sing. And here's her second debut, coming in at number 39. It's the 12th top 40 hit for Chris Janson. It's called Me and a Beer. And with those 2 debuts, we say goodbye to 2 droppers falling out this week, Indigo and Not at This Party. On with the countdown, up 2 spots to number 38. Here's Morgan Wallen and Post Malone with I Ain't Coming Back. Slipping back 1 to number 37, Max McNown with Better Me For You. At number 36, up 2 spots, Chris Young with Till the Last One Dies. Holding at number 35 this week, Dylan Scott with What He'll Never Have. In at number 34 again this week, Megan Patrick with Golden Child. Slipping back 1 to 33, here's Ernest with Would If I Could. In at number 32, up a notch, here's Justin Moore with Time's Ticking. In at number 31 for the second week, here's Blake Shelton with Stay Country or Die Trying. In his 11th week in the countdown, he slips 2 spots to number 30, Hardy with Favorite Country Song. Slipping 2 spots to number 29, here's Megan Maroney with Kenny Chesney, called You Had to Be There. Inching up 1 to number 28, here's Zach Top with Good Times and Tan Lines. Slipping 1 to number 27, here's Parmalee with Cowgirl. In at number 26, slipping back a spot, George Burge and It Won't Be Long. At number 25, slipping back 1, it's Dierks Bentley with She Hates Me. At number 24, slipping back 1, here's Rascal Flatts with the Jonas Brothers and I Dare You. Here's the fastest climbing record of the week, up 7 notches to number 23, Morgan Wallen and I Got Better. Slipping back 1 to number 22, it's Chase Matthew with Darlin'. Trading places with Chase, climbing 1 to number 21, Hudson Westbrook with House Again. In his 15th week in the countdown, he spends his second week at number 20, Tucker Wetmore with 3, 2, 1. At number 19 again this week, here's Parker McCollum with What Kind of Man. In at number 18 again this week, here's Keith Urban and Straight Line. Holding steady at number 17, it's Lainey Wilson with Somewhere Over Laredo. Slipping back 1 to number 16, Jackson Dean with Heavens to Betsy. Here's last week's number 1 record, down to number 15 this week, Josh Ross and Single Again. That song's been on the chart the longest at 38 weeks. Climbing 2 spots to number 14, here's Jelly Roll with Heart of Stone. In at number 13 again this week, here's Eric Church with Hands of Time. Sitting at number 12 again this week, John Party and Friday Night Heartbreaker. Leaping 3 spots to number 11 is Jordan Davis with Bar None. Alright, here's the first of the 10 biggest hits, up a notch to number 10. Here's Scotty McCreery with Hootie and the Blowfish and Bottle Rockets. Up 1 to number 9, here's Russell Dickerson with Happened to Me. At number 8, climbing 1, it's Bailey Zimmerman and Luke Combs with Backup Plan. At number 7, up a notch, here's Luke Bryan with Country Song Came On. At number 6, up a notch, here's Shabuzi, called Good News. Slipping back 2 spots from number 3 to number 5 this week, it's Nate Smith with Fix What You Didn't Break. And heading 2 spots the other way, up to number 4, Thomas Rhett with After All the Bars Are Closed. In at number 3, up a notch this week, Tyler Hubbard with Park. The number 2 song for the second week was our number 1 hit from 2 weeks ago. It's Morgan Wallen and Just in Case. Well, the new number 1 song in country music this week, taking 33 weeks to get here and climbing 4 spots from number 5 to number 1. It's Sam Hunt and Country House. And there you have it, our countdown of the 40 most played country records in the USA. Join me again next week. Once again, we'll count them down and we'll find out who's got the number 1 song in country music. Thank you for listening.